Okay, so in Job chapter 4, we're going to get some of the discussions from Job and his friends. If you go back to chapter 2, we learn his friends come from lives of comfort, easy lives like he had, prosperous, easy lives. And in chapter 3, Job hits us with some very important philosophical questions that he wants to have answered. The pain and suffering has driven him to a low. And while he wants to go lower than that low and he wants to end it all, there still is something inside of him that gives him hope. God has still given him some light. And he's wondering, why in such terrible situations do I have light? So now we're going to get some of these philosophical comparisons by some of his friends. Verse 1, Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee as thou art troubled. So just in a pause here for a second in that, Eliphaz is saying, you have been such a strength to so many people. You have been helping people in their time of need. Your whole life, you have been charitable. You have been supporting and blessing others and helping them out. But now it comes to you and you fall apart. Isn't this so common for all of us? We love helping people, but it's so nice to help people out. And I think part of the comfort we get when we help people is knowing it's not us that needs the help. That's their problems. That's the best part of going to the hospital is walking out under your own power and not having to stay. It's uh, we want to help people, and part of it is it helps us feel better because we're not the one that needs the help. And so he's saying here, but when it comes to your turn to need the help, you fall apart, basically. Verse 6, Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways? Remember, I pray thee, who ever perished, being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. But by the blast of God they perish, and the breath of his nostrils they are consumed. So he's saying that the wicked come in here and say, are the righteous cut off? Whoever perished, being innocent. And this, in my mind, this alludes to a little bit of that prosperity concept. Well, who dies that is innocent? Assuming if you are being punished, if your life is going bad, you must be guilty of something. Almost accusing Job. In an effort to try to help Job understand his situation, he's insinuating maybe Job has committed sin, talking about how God punishes those who do commit sin. By the breath of his nostrils they are consumed. Verse 10, The roaring of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion, and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. So he's saying, maybe Job, you've done something wrong. You have offended God. You've committed a sin somewhere. And he says, I heard a rumor, I heard something. Verse 13, In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men, fear came upon me in trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Then the spirit passed before my face, the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. So he's talking about in the middle of the night, he sees a ghost, basically. An image was before mine eyes, there was silence. And I heard a voice saying, Shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he chargeth with folly. How much less in them that dwell in the house of clay, whose foundation is the dust, which are crushed before the moth? They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Doth not their excellency which is in them go away? They die even without wisdom. Now, what he's talking about here is he's saying, I saw at night, something woke me up. I saw a ghost in my room, and I was afraid, so I didn't move or do anything, and the ghost stood still. And as it stood there, a voice called out to me, telling me these things, talking about basically justice. Shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his maker? It's a good question. So realizing that, from a God's perspective, we are just clay. We come and go all the time. No big deal. We are nothing to God. Can we be better than God? Can we exalt ourselves to be more than God? So maybe he's insinuating that Job thought he was more than he should have. Maybe that's what Eliphaz is talking about here. Well, let's go over to the next chapter to see more about Eliphaz's philosophy as we continue on this story.